The ballroom glittered with crystal chandeliers, polished marble floors, and the laughter of the rich echoing like music of its own. But in one corner, almost invisible against the grandeur, stood a man in a black waiter's uniform, balancing trays with tired hands. His name was Daniel, and though he was just another face among the staff, his eyes carried a quiet depth that no tuxedo could rival. He moved with the weariness of someone who had fought battles no one in that hall could imagine, a single father who spent his days running between shifts, his nights helping his little boy with homework, and his dreams stitched together with prayers for a better tomorrow. He wasn't supposed to stand out, not here. But that night, fate had other plans. Before I continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the beauty of hearts that heal, please take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who might need it, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that love and courage can change everything. At the far end of the hall, where guests clinked glasses of champagne and swayed to violins, a young woman sat alone, trying her best to disappear into the shadows. Her name was Emily. She was the daughter of the powerful CEO hosting the gala, the kind of man whose handshake controlled empires and whose voice commanded entire industries. But Emily was not her father's pride. Not anymore. A tragic accident years ago had left one side of her face scarred, the angry burns twisting what was once flawless beauty into a mark she couldn't hide. Though the doctors had saved her life, society had stolen her confidence. She avoided mirrors, cameras, and people's stares. To her father, whose pride lived in appearances and success, her scars were a silent shame. He loved her, yes, but from a distance, the kind of love that suffocates more than it comforts. Emily sat quietly as the music swelled and the couples filled the dance floor. Her dress shimmered under the lights, but she felt like an imposter in it. Every glance she caught from strangers reminded her of what was gone. And when her father's business associates whispered behind their champagne glasses, she pulled her shawl tighter, wishing she could melt into the chair. Her father never invited her to such gatherings, but tonight she had insisted, desperate for something to remind her she was alive. What she hadn't known was how cruel it would feel to watch the world dancing without her. Daniel noticed her. He had noticed from the moment she arrived, though he didn't know her name. Between delivering trays and collecting empty glasses, his eyes kept wandering back to the lonely figure in the corner. There was a familiar weight in the way she sat, a weight he carried himself. Different scars, perhaps, but scars all the same. His came not from flames but from life. The loss of his wife to illness, the crushing responsibility of raising a son alone, the endless cycle of survival. He recognized the silence around her, the invisible wall people built when they didn't know what to say. And without knowing why, his heart ached for her. The band shifted to a slow song, a melody soft enough to make the room hush. Couples clung closer, spinning across the floor like silk threads weaving a tapestry. Daniel returned a tray to the kitchen, but when he stepped out again, he saw Emily's eyes fixed on the dancers. For a second, he caught the flicker of longing on her scarred face, the longing to be held, even just once, without fear, without pity, without judgment. It was the same longing he saw in the mirror every morning when his son asked, "Dad, when will you be happy again?" Something inside Daniel moved. He put down the empty tray, adjusted his worn cuffs, and before his mind could argue, his feet carried him across the room. Every step felt heavier under the gaze of wealthy guests, their confusion turning quickly into disdain as they watched a mere waiter daring to approach the CEO's daughter. Emily noticed him when he was already standing in front of her. She blinked, startled, as he extended his hand. Her instinct was to retreat, to hide, but his eyes, steady, kind, unshaken by the scars, held her still. Her heart pounded in protest, whispering all the reasons to say no. But something stronger rose within her, something she hadn't felt in years, the desire to be seen not as broken, but as whole. Slowly, almost against her will, she placed her trembling hand in his. The ballroom gasped as Daniel led Emily onto the floor. Whispers rippled through the crowd, but he ignored them. He placed his hand gently on her back, bowed his head respectfully, and moved to the rhythm as though they were the only two people alive. Emily stumbled at first, self-conscious of every eye upon her, but Daniel's quiet confidence anchored her. His touch was steady, not forceful, not pitying. And when she finally dared to lift her eyes to his, she found no trace of fear or disgust, only warmth, and an unspoken truth: "You are beautiful to me." The music swelled, and for the first time since the accident, Emily let herself breathe. Her movements loosened, her heart softened, and a smile, tentative yet radiant, broke through. She was dancing, not hiding, not pretending, but dancing. The scarred girl and the tired father became a story written in motion, one that silenced the whispers around them. But the silence was broken by the CEO himself. He stood at the edge of the floor, his expression frozen between shock and fury. This was not the picture he wanted for his gala. His daughter, scarred and vulnerable, dancing with a man who wasn't even a guest but a servant. His pride bristled, his fists clenched, and for a moment it seemed he would stride forward to tear them apart. Yet he didn't move. Because as he watched, something shattered inside him. He saw his daughter laugh, a sound he had forgotten. He saw the light in her eyes he thought was lost forever. He saw her alive again, not as a scar to hide, but as a soul reborn in a stranger's arms. The sight broke him. It broke the pride he had built his empire upon. For all his wealth, his power, his influence, he had never given Emily what this man had given her in minutes: the gift of being seen, the gift of being loved without conditions. The song ended, but the spell lingered. Emily stood breathless, cheeks flushed, her hand still in Daniel's. The ballroom, for all its luxury, felt small compared to the vastness of what had just happened. Daniel bowed softly, as if it had been nothing, and prepared to return to his duties. But Emily held on to his hand a moment longer, unwilling to let the moment vanish like a dream. Her father stepped forward then, the crowd parting for him like the sea. Daniel straightened, expecting rebuke, perhaps even humiliation. But instead, the CEO's gaze softened. He looked at Daniel, at the man in the waiter's uniform who had dared to give his daughter back her smile, and he nodded once, not as a master to a servant, but as a father to another man. His pride had cracked, and through the cracks, love finally found its way. That night changed everything. Emily began to heal, not just from the burns but from the silence that had imprisoned her. Daniel returned home to his son with a new hope burning in his chest, the kind of hope that whispers of second chances, of love found in unexpected places. And the CEO, though still powerful, carried a different pride now, not in wealth or status, but in a daughter who had survived, and in the courage of a stranger who reminded him what truly mattered. And so, the scarred girl danced, the tired father dreamed again, and an empire remembered that even the most broken hearts can be mended, not by riches, not by appearances, but by kindness, by courage, and by love that dares to see beauty where the world does not. If this story touched your heart, please don't leave without giving it life beyond this moment. Like this video, comment your feelings, share it with someone who needs a reminder of hope, and subscribe to the channel. Every gesture helps spread stories that heal, inspire, and remind us of the strength within us all.